years, which is wonderful. And copies were sent electronically to the board. I did send you guys that, so now we have them physically. Budget. We're on track with our budget. I mean, really dead on track with our budget. Our cash position is much improved in a year, December of this year, as opposed to 2011. Our cash position has improved by $98,000. $37,000 of that is one-time money that we've just received from redevelopment. We got the residual distribution and the RDA asset distribution. It's one time, it shouldn't be considered for operations really. We may get some more money in June. We're likely to get more money in June. Nobody can say what. Also being able to predict our tax stream. They say that the end of 2013-14 period is the soonest that we're really going to be able to project, because there are so many things that are unknown right now, and because of this redevelopment situation and the monies that were in the trust, there's going to be a lot of lawsuits apparently. So until all of that shakes out, they say that the outcome's really unknown and it's going to be very hard to budget for it. I just, talking back about the committees, when I'm looking at our budget, we're far under budget in many areas, and I guess it was, I thought that the committees would be putting forth more, more of their wish list. Maintenance, for instance, we've spent only half of our budget at this time, and I know we have a lot of things that we really should take care of, and we should take care of them while we're in the winter before we get crazy busy, in the summer. And I did have on here to shop for a printer, so we've discussed that. We're going to do that. We had another major leak at the amphitheater. That's been fixed, so our water bill again has to be addressed. And let's see, that's really it. Yeah, the audit went well.
Okay. Any questions, board members?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
This thing about the second set of eyes, I actually want to pass this around so that the word it's just another view, and actually, so the public isn't left out. I know every month we look at a page of numbers, and it kind of makes people glaze over. So I wanted to do a second set of books that has the books for the first 6 months of the year. This is July 1st through December 31st.
Right.
And a lot of the public anyway can make more sense out of things like this first revenue chart that shows where the revenue comes from, what the percentage, the property tax, the beach, other events that we run. And a second page talking about the money going out, which again, people can, it's easier to understand if you see pictures like staff and maintenance, contractors and supplies and things like that. And the cash in the bank, which in the first 6 months was $40,000, which is great. And what I talked about last spring or summer probably with Katrina in one of these board meetings was having some sort of cost analysis. We don't have the granularity right now to do much more than talk generically about things like beach or events. It would be great if we could get down to specific events and be able to look at what they brought in, what they, what it costs, and make those cost allocations so that. But this is a way of categorizing it that makes it come out looking reasonable, understandable. Let's put it that understandable. And then here are the numbers that go into it, and background and spreadsheets and back of that. And then the second thing I did, the second set of 3 pictures are the same thing because we do write the checks for Creekside Park. So looking at all the same numbers, but with the addition of what Creekside has done, how much has come in for Creekside. And that has dominated our check writing. And then expenses going out to the creek side, and it makes the expenses look small. And well, it just sort of dominates the picture. And I just wanted to get that out into the public.
Yeah, and this isn't really a second set of eyes issue. We can generate any reports we want. That's not a very big issue.
No.
I mean, the
No,
numbers.
but we don't.
The numbers, in other words, the numbers are accurate. So in other words, if we want pie charts and dashboards, we can do it. That's not an issue.
Okay, I'm not saying it was.
It's not an issue at all.
We haven't seen it in.
Well, no one's ever asked for it.
It's the thing that the public likes to see. They understand it.
So Peter, thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like you're suggesting that we should have been doing this all along, that somehow, I want to clarify, what, if you wanted to continue doing this every 6 months for
No,
us?
not necessarily this way. I'm just reminding us back to 6 months ago when we talked about doing cost analysis by categories. And you had made the comment that that would be something we might get to in the spring. And we're now looking.
I don't know whose time would be spent doing that. I know it won't be my personal time, but I don't have any left as a volunteer to do this next level of analysis. But I do want to say, it is great to have visuals of the financials.
This comes right out of the box. This is easy. This
So
is not a problem.
So if it would be easy for Diane.
So what I'm saying is we can do this.
I don't think it would be easy, particularly, to go a level down deeper, though.
Give me an example of one that you want to go deeper on. Give me an example of one of the categories that you're curious
He's
about.
talking about
I think in the email, oh, no, I didn't send you that email.
You mentioned events, like specific events. What do we make on weddings? What do we make on the... Yeah, I think that that level of detail, I mean, I think if it became a bigger piece of the pie, it would become more important. I think what's important, and I understand, the most meaningful thing here is, when you mentioned that you were asking for cost analysis, I think you might not recall, but immediately at the next meeting, I did provide you with the income and expense by class, which really, for all intents and purposes, is this worksheet that we're looking at here. And this is meaningful because it does show you that as a park and rec, there are many services, there are many things that we do. We don't make money doing them, but they are hopefully going to self-sustain. And then we know if they're really off kilter, you decide what programs you want to grow and what you might want to not do because you just simply can't do it. So this is that report that you're talking about. This is just basically generating our income and expense by class, which is really what it is, and it's not a different thing for this.
And back to you, the one thing that does need to be cleaned up is the encoding. There's not much there. There's like 1,000 transactions, maybe 12 or 1,300 at most, after 6 months. So it's a couple hours to go through and clean it. But the transactions are encoded sort of loosey-goosey. You might take a name like Leslie, and so there's there's 4 different ways that Leslie is coded. Her name is coded in the books in that 1,200 transactions. Other people, events, there's something, Hamaker, and then there's somewhere else you think of, the Hamaker wedding. And you think, okay, well, that first Hamaker was probably the wedding too. And so the encoding is not clean enough to actually do cost analysis at this point. It would have to get
Yeah, those are just memos. What you're talking about without a convention is a memo. There is no encoding difference. So as far as these classes, no, that's not correct. Memos are memos, and I get very verbose on memos because then I always know exactly what it is. But as far as sorting, no, it does not affect the accuracy or the searchability of these. So
Peter, if you can be more specific in exactly what your concern is.
Yes, no, I will.
Then it will be on the finance, put it on the next finance committee agenda, and also we can discuss it in more detail with Diane.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, independent contractors and report. No?
I met with the folks from Vineland, an event that takes place in Bergville every year, a couple of times. They want to begin a more accessible event down at this end of the river. Accessible meaning a shorter event for weekend warriors versus long-term triathletes. And what they're proposing is to do this event this year on the first weekend in June. The reason I'm bringing it to the board rather than simply booking it is that there is one caveat, and that is that the beach will have been open about 2 weeks at that point. They're asking for it to be closed the morning of the Sunday of their race up until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so that they can do their swim. They've got, I think, five groups of swimmers that will then become bikers, but they're going to have to run from there up here and check in, get their bikes, and then their circuit goes through paths, comes back here, and they do a run. Once the last swimming group is out of the water, they clear the area. So that's really the only reason I'm doing it. They will be fully permitted. They will be working with CHP on some closures for brief periods of time down the road and back again, just like they do for the events in Burnsville.